make a good point, E, that the noise level of the event could be a factor. But honestly, now that I think about it, there's a lot of caveats to this. It depends on the setting. I personally would say just keep it how it is. I mean, I have seen it before. If I'm not mistaken, it was a KOF 13 when that was hot at Evo. I think it was Shanghai. I forgot who it was, or what was that guy's name? I think it was something Cafe ID guys. Those guys were like super hot in KOF 13. There were like so many of them in the top 8. I can't remember the guy's name, but I think it was Shanghai. He had like a divider between them. And I get it, but everybody is not. I don't think it's to the point where everybody that you play is gonna be doing it. Like, because one, you have to have a lot of focus to be trying to like hear what they're doing. And I know I've heard this before, but it's also counters to it. I've heard people say that when they play arcade stick, they do like a double motion or like a button to make it sound like they're doing something, and they don't do that. That's not what they just do, like a phantom input. So he's doing the supers. Like, no, I just did it to make you think I'll do it. So you can counter it. It probably depends on what game you're playing, because Tekken doesn't have supers. So to me in Tekken, I feel like that's hard to. The most recognizable thing will be like somebody does like here a double motion, but Tekken doesn't have double motion to my knowledge. Maybe supers. Maybe. Well, no, I don't think supers have double motions either. So I think it just depends on what game you're playing. But the biggest thing is it depends on what you're playing with. Arcade sticks is different from a controller.
Yeah.
If you press the controller that hard where they can hear, it's like you must be pressing. You got a Fisher Price controller, or you just punching the button. Because like now arcade stick, and also arcade stick, you get silent buttons. You can't hear it.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm gonna just say I don't think it's necessary to like make people play like on opposite sides, which I guess it's not that much of a difference if they play on opposite sides with their own screens. I guess it's the same thing. Maybe it could be like for logistics or just like resource purposes. Like, hey, we're gonna play on with the same screen. You know, maybe we don't have access to get both players a separate screen to themselves. Which I mean, most places, most events you do see they kind of have that already. But yeah, I don't think it's necessary to take it away. Because like I said, everybody don't play on arcade stick. And if you do, you might have silent buttons. Again, people can counter it by doing phantom inputs to throw you off balance. And again, like E said, the venue is probably loud. Like, I don't think there's a venue where like a tournament, like a big event or major, where it's just like you can hear the buttons. Like, I'm pretty sure it's a crowd, people talking. Also, headphones. Most people wear headphones.
Exactly.
So that's like the biggest thing. Like, most people wear headphones, so it's like I can't hear if I can hear your buttons through the headphones, like, you know. And again, if you're looking at somebody controlling, you still got enough, like, hey man, you need to be world champion. Just give him the title now.
You got two heads, basically.
Like, if I'm sitting there trying to not drop my bread and butter, and I'm still like, he pressed super. Let me go ahead. Like, which I know most of it just like hearing a person's input. Like, what is he doing? Is he mashing? You know, and again, like Justin Wong said, that was a good counter. Like, to do something as a spur of the moment and as technical and precise as Daigo did with Evo Moment 37. Somebody doing that racket with the buttons, that's a good strategy. Hey, I can't let him finish. He ain't finna finish this, and he still did it. So, but like I said, I don't think it's necessary. And like I said, these right here, most events, headphones. Everybody don't wear them, but a good majority of people wear headphones. You want to hear the game. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this topic, there's so many different ways you can go with it. And really it's just a personal preference thing, I feel like, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But if we really think about it, you only see non-side-by-side play, like two people having their own, like, you know, one system connected to two monitors and everybody having their own side. You're really only seeing that at like high production events.
Yeah.
You know, like when you go to like a NEC event, or you go to a KIT, or, you know, certain stuff like that. You know, no disrespect saying they're not high quality and stuff like that, but that's where you see it. when you get to like a Tekken World Tour or an Evo or Combo Breaker and stuff like that, that's where you start seeing like, okay, they have two separate screens because at the end of the day, production costs.
Yeah.
You know, they're looking
Mhm.
at production costs.
Right.
So you really only see, or you could see it at like retro tournaments where it's like the back to back arcade systems and stuff like that, and people are playing.
Mhm.
So um, I'm more so on the side of it don't matter. You know, it's not like somebody can come out and say, "Man, we didn't play side by side, so that's how I lost." You know, so you know you're not gonna hear that. You might more hear it from hey, I was playing side by side with this person. He over there, yeah, hitting the Sanford Kelly and stuff like that, or all that other stuff. Like, hey, he was distracting me and stuff. But nowadays, you're seeing people they're playing with headphones on.
Yeah.
And you hear people say all the time, like when I'm playing, I'm blasting some type of music in my ears and stuff like that, so I could take myself into my own different world and I can play this game. So it
Right.
doesn't seem like people are really caring too much about what you're doing on your side. I'm focusing on me. I'm trying to take care of my nerves. I'm trying to do the best thing I can be. So it's like Devin saying, like, if you just that good to where you can play, look at their inputs, and react at the same time to hurry up and get back and do what you need to do. Hey man, we need to go ahead and name you 10-time Evo champion already because you're doing something crazy.
Right.
But I really just think it doesn't matter. I mean, the mental frustration part what he said, hey man, that's fighting games. Fighting
Yeah.
games are some of the most mental taxing games there are. That just comes with it. Now, somebody reading your inputs and stuff like that, like Devin said, maybe you can hear it, or sound is also some people do like to hear the game. Because some people can react based off what they hear your character saying or what
Yeah.
your
Right.
character is doing. So, but at the same time, they're still not listening to you. They're listening to
Right.
the game. So I
Mhm.
just don't really feel like it's something that needs to change. If you do that at your tournament, cool. If you don't do it at your tournament, cool. It's not like we have to do it side by side. But I mean, I'm sure it's like a lot of people that came from the arcade era. I'm sure they're like, bro, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're used to that. Maybe the newer generations, if you come and you're not playing side by side all the time, and then I mean, I don't know how you got through locals. Locals all the time you're playing side by side.
Yeah.
Monthlies you're playing side by side. I mean, but there might be some people who just used to online, or when you did go to local, somehow it wasn't side by side. Maybe that might be what you used to, and yeah, it might be some stuff that you're because everything's a pattern. If I'm at my local, I'm playing without headphones. We did it that it wasn't side by side, and then next thing you know, I come to this major and it's side by side. Maybe it might feel different for you, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I feel like that's the minority.
Yeah.
There's
And like I said again, most people, a lot of people playing hitbox now. So hitbox, you can't hear. I don't know. I haven't played against anybody with hitbox. I haven't played it myself, but I would assume you could probably decipher somebody doing a double input easier on a stick than you could on like actual buttons because they're
Yeah.
just nothing but buttons. So you like if you hear the stick moving, you know there's some motion going on or whatever. But if there's just buttons, like you don't really know. And again,
Yeah.
people play controller, so they're not really loud. You can't necessarily hear that. And you can't even hear a D-pad. If you play like the D-pad, you can't hear the D-pad. You can barely probably even hear the analog stick.
Yeah, the analog stick. Like you'd have to be listening
So
really
yeah.
hard.
So it's
Really
gotta
hard.
be it's probably this is probably more so a thing for arcade stick, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
that is what a lot of the Tekken players play, like the higher level ones. I feel like they play on stick, like especially like the Korean player. They play like the Korean bat top. So that will probably be just a problem for that more specifically. But like I said, it's so many caveats to this. Like I said, headphones, your counter to it, what you play on, it's a crowd loud. So I don't think it's necessary.
And
But I
then when
have
they
seen it
play
done.
majors nowadays, they're a lot of them are getting sponsored by like headphone companies, so they have headphones there
Yeah.
for you to have on when you're playing. Like, so
Yeah.
I
Unless you're gonna be like, You sit down and you be like, "Hey man, put on your headphones." I don't like playing. Hey man, put on your headphones. I ain't trying to have you hear my inputs. Like,
Yeah, and
Yeah, man. Everybody
I
got
don't
their
know who's
earmuffs.
trying to be at a major and you're trying to hear all that crowd, the commentators, and all that stuff while you're playing the game. You know, you
yeah,
lose and everybody like, oh my God, he trash. And you know, you gotta sit here and listen to that while you're trying to make this comeback. Like, ain't nobody trying to hear that.
yeah.
You
Right.
know, so I mean, some people do. I'm not saying everybody and their mama, you know, is using headphones. Maybe some people like to feel the ambiance and the atmosphere. But if you're that type of person, I don't feel like you're somebody who cares about like, bro, you looking at my stick, you know. So,
Nah, no, like I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like if you're somebody who like kind of thrives in the environment, like listening to the crowd and the commentators and like and just like general like the for me personally, I remember like streaming and I started playing hitbox and I wasn't using silent buttons, so I'm hitting the buttons and people are like, oh man, your buttons are so loud. But there are other people who are like in the community like the FGC it's like what's the big deal? Like
that's what
like
I'm
that's
saying. Like, it's a hitbox.
yeah.
The buttons make noise. Like,
Supposed to hit it.
Exactly. That's what it's like. That's what the buttons sound like when you hit them. And in to Mr. Gamerless point about playing in the hitbox and you're trying to decipher what's going on. It's like with a hitbox, especially you can like there's no way really, at least as far as I know. I mean, unless you really know the sound of buttons, it's like to distinguish one button press from another, especially if like on a hitbox where you pretty much the buttons on the side of movement are the same as on the side of like with your actual like left arm, right arm, left leg, right leg kind of thing. There's no way really to distinguish, and especially because I use silent buttons on my hitbox. Like I have pads in there to like dull the sound, mostly because people complain too much and. Like I said, you got to tailor it for the casual viewer, right? After a certain point, what do they want to do? They want to see the ball go in the hoop, but they don't want to hear too much noise. So, you put like, I just don't see. I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, and I like most of the times, it's kind of hard to see it from the perspective which I'm like sitting there and I got my headphones in, like Rexon said. It's like you're trying to be comfortable as possible as you could possibly be playing a fighting game. That's important because if you're sitting there and you're all seized up and your shoulders are all up here close to your ears and stuff like that. I mean, chances, you're like, oh God. And I mean, it's like you're so tightly wound that if like something the balance is thrown off, like something you might just like just collapse like in on yourself, sometimes. And having like Sade, what's like the sweetest taboo or whatever, in your ears, like while you're juggling somebody, you take them to the wall and the next stage and stuff, I mean, that might just be the way you win the match. You're listening to like, Lisa Stanfield, been around the world and while you're like, doing a giant swing with like King and stuff. I mean,
he
that might
basically
be
telling y'all his playlist. That's what he doing.
what'd you say?
I said, you basically telling everybody your playlist. That's what you be listening to.
I mean, listen, like I can post it in the comment section if people really want to know all that. But yeah, man, it's all about it's all about your piece of like I guess it's like not being stressed out, being as comfortable as possible and stuff. So like Rexon said, I'm focused on what's going on here, like in this box here, what's going on here with me playing the game. I'm not worried about what buttons you're pressing, outside of like what's going on the screen. Like I don't. That's not my concern. My concern is what's going on in my mental state, what buttons I'm pressing, and how I'm reacting to what is actually transpiring on screen, and whether or not I know what you're going. I'm trying to read what you're going to do. I don't care what the buttons sound like. I don't care what control scheme you're using. I don't care about any of that. I care about what's happening on screen and whether or not my hit points are higher than yours. Like that's pretty much
We had Avatar Yaya. He actually released a tweet saying that I think it's incredibly stupid that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has reached 30 million sales in the game, not even getting patches on a bare minimum yearly. Let Sakurai rest, but I feel like it's the biggest missed opportunity with Smash. Then he talks about how this is why it's important to play multiverses and stuff like that and get it big because it's getting developer support, it has a large fan base, blase blase. What, you know what? I ain't gonna disrespect the man like that and say blase
Blase.
yada yada yada. like he what's the dude name from Trowder that just be like rada 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 rada. But he says it's why we need multiverses to do well and why it's still exciting to play multiverses because of developer support. Better netcode overall, and I think multiverses in beta has gotten some of the biggest community support I've seen for a fighting game, period. So he's basically saying that, and he's just like, man, you know, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, they're wasting this opportunity. Now you get 30 million sales, and then that's when you like, all right, I'm gonna hang my jersey in the rafters and go home. So, what y'all think about this? And I'll be honest, like, I think a lot of that big push for yes, like multiverses had, and you know, anybody who feels like I'm saying something and I'm ignorant, please let me know. But just my opinion is when multiverses came out, yes, it had a big push, but also at the same time, it said that look, we got a tournament where you can go to and win $100,000 worth of pop prizes. So I feel like that helped. Who else did that? Yes, it
When was
had
the last time
familiar
Nintendo did
characters.
something like that?
So what?
When was the last time Nintendo did something like that?
Yeah. Yes, it had familiar characters and all that other stuff. But I mean, if are we gonna be honest and say multiverses is on the same level as Smash? No, it's just that they did the right things when the games was coming out to push it to the high heavens. But I mean, after it, we've actually reported on it after the
I
game came out
was
and stuff like that. The player base kind of fell off, and then especially after Evo, I mean, it's not the same. So, and it's no disrespect. I mean, I could look up the numbers right now,
that's the reason why I
but
was laughing and smiling.
yeah, it's no disrespect. But I mean,
Because let's be
Sakurai. I
honest,
mean, Sakurai been working on Smash Brothers since what, like 1998,
Yeah, it's been a while.
99. 99 was when it was released, so I'm sure 98 was when they was working on it.
I think maybe something that he's missing is Smash has been a system seller like almost for all of Nintendo ever since its inception.
Yeah.
Melee, it was a system seller. I would say maybe Brawl. I guess maybe once they played it, but I'm sure people like, and when Brawl come out, you know, even Smash 4 Ultimate, like you gotta think about that. It's a system seller, right? And so it said he had through a 3.6. What was the stats?
The stats on what now?
The stats that he was comparing to say it shouldn't have that without no support. What was the stats he was comparing again?
I was like 30 million.
30 million.
Yeah, the game sold 30 million.
Multiverse is a free to play game. Wait, I'm kind of in the bushes on that one because it's like you comparing a game that's not free to a free to play game that ain't Fortnite. So I mean, off the rip is gonna get more sales, but again, also Smash Bros is a system seller. Smash Ultimate is literally licensed Mugen, where a game when you can put Snake, Solid Snake versus Sora versus King Dedede, and then Kaji come with it like Doida, like it's bruh, off the characters alone, that's gonna sell. It don't matter with no patches. It's Smash Brothers. The game it's a solid entry in the series, and it's got almost every character you can think of. Those two things right there, it's just like what I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I think it's more like it's kind of like the more of the thing is like, okay, you have all these characters in the game, you sold 30 million, you know, People love the game. Why aren't you still supporting it? You know, why are you not patching it on the regular? You know, at least like, you know, keeping it up to snuff, like maintaining it.
Yeah.
You know, because like you still have a game like we were saying, like a game like Multiverses, which is like getting support now, you know, which like, you know, it's getting patches and stuff. They're doing events like the Valentine's thing. You see like Shaggy and Velma, like, oh yeah, like that's a thing that's still happening. Like it's still getting support. And like we're talking about like Smash, like sold like let's say 30 million last year. You know, I mean, how many do you think it's going to sell this year? You know, like there's still going to be people buying Super Smash Bros. Ultimate into the future, you know, and they're still going to be making money on it. So the question is, why aren't you supporting it? Why aren't you like, you know, why aren't you still I mean, forget about adding new characters. Why aren't you still patching it to like, you know, still listening to the community and saying, making it like, you know, just like patching the game and stuff. You know, like what's going on there? You know, I think that's why they're talking about, you know, like playing like Multiverses, because it's like, you know, a game that is in fact like still getting characters, still being supported. Not necessarily I don't think it's like thing like if it's like a better game, because I don't think we can say that. But you know, but I would definitely say that at the very least, it is a game that is getting support from the developers right now.
Yeah. But I think one thing he kind of failed to look at is that this is Smash Brothers. Like Smash Brothers is just popular from a casual standpoint. Nintendo was more of a casual company, so it's gonna sell like hotcakes regardless. So, a game doesn't a successful game, like to be successful, like in the finance department, doesn't mean it has to be patched. Those things are kind of like not even hand in hand. Just because the game ain't been getting patched don't mean it's not gonna make money. This is a super popular title that's fun for people. People love the game. They got their favorite character in the game. They don't care about no patches. Most of the people that bought the game don't care about no patches. Those are regular consumers. So I just think in that regard, he probably been thinking about just because a game ain't getting patched don't mean it's not gonna make a lot of money. People love Smash Brothers, so they gonna buy it patch or no patch. I got Sora in there, my favorite character. Oh, I'm getting the game. I don't care about no patch. So that's how Smash Brothers made that much money. Like you really, it's almost like I don't know. You kind of just can't. I say it's a game you have to buy versus a game that's free. And I do respect stuff like, you know, them throwing like events and stuff, but this is a game that has kind of, they have to do that. Multiverses kind of has to do that. Smash Brothers not so much, because again, this game has like done probably the record holder of like characters in the game, like especially from different companies and just all these characters that should have never been together. Like from nobody ever would have thought Snake would be in Smash Brothers fighting Mario, like choking Mario up like this, like go to sleep. Like nobody ever thought that was gonna happen, but it happened, and we got a game that's out here just doing numbers. And again, like I said, I get his point saying like, oh, developers should support it, patch it, but that's kind of separate from the game still selling like hotcakes. Because like I said, the casual audience, more people to play the game or buy it, they don't care about no patches. So it's gonna still make money, even though it's not patched.
I mean, like, yeah, 100%. But I think like the point, like saying the point is that because it's still making money, you know, it's still kind of like in like the cultural zeitgeist as like, you know, one of those like games that people think about when you think like casually when people think about like fighting games, or like, you know, like a lot of people think about Smash Brothers, like straight up, you know, that's just, you know, what they think of Smash Brothers and like Street Fighter, you know, that's what they think about. So, you know, I just like, you know, it's kind of I agree that a lot of people don't really care about, they don't care about patches, but you know, like some people do, right? Apparently like this person does, and it's kind of like it's about like making the game, I guess it's like making the game better, maybe like by patches, maybe a new character or something like that, but it's like people are still buying your game, and it's not necessarily like when did Smash Brothers Ultimate come out? Like how many years ago did
That's
that game
also
come out?
another thing. This game has been out so
It's been out for 5 years.
Yeah, you can't.
Smash Brothers been out for 5 years.
You can't compare that.
Well, here's the thing. Well, here's the thing, right? Like, how long has like Rainbow Six Siege been out? You know, like it's been out a lot longer than Smash Brothers Ultimate has, and that game still gets patches, still gets new characters and stuff. You know what I mean? That is a game that makes money, and they're like, yo, because people still buy the game, and there are people who are like, okay, the developers are like, all right, man, we patch the game, we make new characters, we change the format a little bit, we have events and stuff like that. So when you look at and that's from Ubisoft, and Ubisoft is, unfortunately, known to be making missteps. But in this particular regard, like they're a company I would think that people should be taking a page out of their book from, because they can't, like League of Legends. I mean, regardless of what you think about that game, it's like a game that's been has longevity and stuff. I mean, it's kind of like if somebody had said, hey, like the next Smash Brothers game is coming out like maybe 2 years from now or something like that, I think people will feel a lot differently about it, because they'll be like, oh, okay, they've already planted the seed in our minds that we're going to get a Smash Brothers in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever the time span is. But when you don't know that there's going to be another game, and you're just buying the game that's out, not, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, okay, support this game right now while we're playing it. Like I said, when did I think Rainbow Six Siege came out, and I don't know, maybe 2017, 2016, maybe something like that. And like I said, they're still getting support. So in my opinion, just my opinion, Nintendo, like the amount of money that they make per year, they don't really have an excuse for it. Like, you know what I mean? There's not really an excuse. You know what I mean?